Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have been invited to speak at this CSO annual summit hosted by the Miami Herbert Business School at the University of Miami, which recognizes the critical role CSOs have to play in accelerating the transition to a more sustainable future. After very nearly 40 years working on these issues to try and raise awareness of the need to act in order to prevent irreversible damage to our planet, I firmly believe that the private sector has a crucial role to play in delivering the solutions we so desperately need for nature, people, and planet. But no industry or business can do this alone. Over the years, I've seen that it is precisely when we come together and connect the dots, very often across disciplines, geographies, and industries, that innovative solutions and new ways forward can be found. If I may say so, it is enormously encouraging to see that this CSO annual summit is looking to take just such an approach. As part of my Sustainable Markets Initiative, I'm proud to say that in November last year, I launched a CSO network, the S30, representing some of the world's leading companies. Members represent companies with a total market capitalization of $6.7 trillion, revenue in excess of $2.3 trillion, and over 5 million employees from around the world. The S30, like many of you here today, aims to create innovative and collaborative solutions to unlock the hugely significant opportunity afforded by a sustainable future, which is, in fact, the growth story of our time. Increasingly, businesses are expected to be responsible global citizens, delivering returns not only for shareholders, but also for society and for nature. Therefore, Chief Sustainability Officers are absolutely crucial in terms of meeting this expectation. So with this in mind, I would just like to outline, if I may, a few areas where, as current and aspiring sustainability leaders, you could make a tremendous difference. First of all, the role of CSOs is becoming one of the most important and influential in the corporate world, and increasingly central to market competitiveness. A suitably empowered Chief Sustainability Officer is critical to ensuring that sustainability is central to business strategy, to decision-making, investment, accounting, procurement, supply chains, and consumer engagement. As we look to integrate sustainability as a default setting across the organization, younger employees are a valuable asset for CSOs as they tend to care deeply about sustainability and want to be part of meaningful action and transformation. Secondly, if we have the resolve to shift our trajectory, growing acceptance by companies committing to net zero by 2050 is clearly an encouraging and necessary step. But given the desperate urgency of the problem, can we really not challenge ourselves to start taking the tough decisions now, rather than deferring them to the next generation? If, as business leaders, you feel, as I hope you do, that we need to move further, faster, are there ways you can exceed this stated objective? Something at which I suspect you are already excelling in many business areas, and target 2035, devising a practical roadmap to get there. Thirdly, I would encourage you to reimagine, design, and communicate the future of industry and the future of business while identifying, scaling, and showcasing sustainable solutions and alternatives. This will require active investment in innovation, technology, research, and development, along with collaborative competition in a way that accelerates global progress. After all, market-leading companies have demonstrated that it is entirely possible to be profitable and sustainable at the same time. In fact, businesses and investments that are ESG aligned are increasingly outperforming those that are not, even in the current economic crisis. Fourthly, there is growing consensus and increasingly alignment around the need for standardized metrics and mandatory disclosure. CSOs can help shape the adoption and communication of these efforts, not only within your companies, but also within your supply chains, across industries, and with consumers. Fifthly, and finally, consider how your industry and your company can really make a difference in accelerating the global transition by supporting a carbon price, including internally or industry set, the reversal of perverse subsidies that are causing so much damage, and investing in natural capital. After all, nature's contribution to the global economy is estimated to be worth more than $125 trillion annually, greater than the entire world's annual GDP. And yet, that critical contribution, in terms of ecosystem services, is simply not recognized, valued, nor paid for as a form of public utility that must be constantly maintained and enhanced. If we build conservation and nature-based solutions into our asset base and supply chains, we will be able to drive significant economic growth for countries and businesses alike, thereby benefiting the lives and livelihoods of millions of people. And in order to accelerate the restoration of biodiversity and nature's ecosystems in the short time left to us, it will be utterly essential to pursue and establish globally trusted and verifiable carbon offsetting efforts, both nature-based and engineered, that reduce emissions while restoring natural capital. Here, too, the CSOs can play an immensely powerful role. Ladies and gentlemen, as you were rash enough to ask me to address you at this summit, I can only stress that if you, of all people, fail to persuade your companies to take the necessary urgent action that has been far too long postponed, if not denied, then the world will face an increasingly dire situation as ever more extreme climate change, global temperatures, and biodiversity loss expose us to devastating human catastrophe and conflict as we destroy the last remaining planetary boundaries. I'm afraid the sand in the hourglass is rapidly running out. We simply must act with real urgency, recognizing that we each have a vital role to play. I pray, therefore, that your conference is truly productive and hope more than anything that we can find ways to work together across this critically important year for the environment.